Okay, you guys, we are back, baby, with another banging video, honey. Game on, I got my rapper chain on. Game on, I got my rapper chain on. Game on, I got my rapper chain on. Okay, guys, so let's talk about it, shall we? Because I've told the internet this, but you guys are not paying attention. I said to you guys, Nicki Minaj and Kanye West, they have a very high level of spiritual protection. Don't ask me where it's coming from, honey, but it's coming from the divine creator, if you're curious. Nicki Minaj has been cultured on true Caribbean upbringing. And for any African American who understands that, they know it, because a lot of you African Americans have been cultured the same way, and even white folks have been cultured the same way. I said to you guys, whenever anyone goes against Nicki Minaj, she just goes trending on the charts. Everything elevates. Once she stays authentic, once she comes forward with her truth, and once she remains truthful, she will never fail. Whether you like it or whether I don't like it, she will never fail once she's being authentic. And here we are. I said to you guys the last video, I said, I'm going to prove it to you. Every time someone comes at Nicki, she goes trending. She goes trending always. When they do it to Kanye, trending. When they do it to Riri, trending. I can tell you 3 people who it happens to consistently on the charts. And now, after Don Lemon claimed that he put Nicki in his place, I don't know how it is that Nicki said that you are a gay man and all of that. She never told any lie. Because if you're a gay man, you're a gay man. And you said that you're gay, you're married, and you believe in God and whatnot, right? And no one can defeat you on that. But what I find highly disrespectful, I saw the clip and I saw the entirety of it, and Don Lemon was wrong. You cannot use journalism to disrespect people's faith. Whether you worship in a church, kneel in a temple, or pray in your mosque, that should have never happened. When the protesters barged into that church, the kids were scared. Members of the congregation, they were fearful. It was as though it was the Capitol riots all over again. And we know people died in that. That situation in that church could have turned ugly. Don Lemon should have respected those people, because even if the pastor is questionable, because there are many pastors who are questionable, and we all know that, right? Many of them are two-faced. Many of them are racist. He could have waited until the church service was over, watch the pastor, see which direction he's moving, and go in and ask him, is it true? And ask whatever your question is. But him going in with the people, and it's a church, it's not right. Whether it was a church, a mosque, a temple, can't agree with that. And people need to respect people's faith, respect people's time of worshiping. Already, you guys are battling school shootings, church shootings, and now this. I understand the situation that is going on with ICE and the immigration policy, and it looks ugly. What is happening out there? It is ugly. It is horrific. I saw a clip wherein the ICE agents were arresting a black guy. He was in handcuffs, face down. And you know what they were doing to him? They were kneeling in his face. And there was a white lady, not a black woman, screaming, "Get off his face! He's in cuffs and he's complying. Get off his face. You don't have to be kneeling in his face. God damn it. And she was screaming and she was, advocating for him. And this is why I say, sometimes we need to stop misdirecting our energy. When something is wrong, if a white girl does something, the entire pop culture community, which is often most black, attacks that white girl. Take, for example, Khloe Kardashian and Tristan. Khloe was dragged through the mud, called a footstool, called dumb, called everything. And now we see something with Cardi B and 7 Days Flowers and people, leave Cardi B alone. And I've never seen any crowd saying leave Khloe alone. We are very biased. We are very biased and we need to stop that. Because you see that young lady that got shot, that white girl that got shot, if she was black, the black community would have burned the entire city of Minnesota. And I'm saying it because it is true, because I know that's how black people are. And that's how you guys are in my own country. So I know it is true. We need to stand up for truth, for justice, for all. Not just black, not just white, not just Hispanic, but for all people, for all nation. When you see the genocide in Palestine going on, don't say Palestinians are racist, because when you ignore that, you know who's gonna be next? The black people, the Mexicans, and before you know it, God forbid, back in slavery. And because we're going to sit and watch everything and say everything is this, and we're going to consistently make excuse. That has nothing to do with me. That has nothing to do with me. You're going to wait until it has something to do with you before you get involved. What about equality? What about humanity? Always stand up for humanity when something is wrong. Just as how that white lady was screaming, get out his face, get off his face. You don't need to be kneeling in his face. Everyone should be locked in at this point. Black, white, pink, purple, or blue. There should be no segregation, no discussion about race, because Trump is coming for everyone. I see a lot of people saying it's black people getting targeted. It is Mexicans. It's everyone, honey. And you know who is going to be next? It's going to be homegrown folks with their medical issues. And I'm talking about both black and white, Hispanic, who were born and bred in America, who are living off the system through different means. Your child with special needs, your child with special care, you with a medical condition, you living off welfare. He's going to ship your ass to another country, and he's going to send you a check that is 25% of what you would receive in the United States. You know why? When you go to that next country, let's say you get $3,000 from the government, right? And he's going to ship your ass off to Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad, or somewhere. And he's going to tell you, I'm going to send you $1,500. That can pay your rent, buy some food. And if you say it can't work, he's going to tell you that there are people in that country living off far less. And if they can do it, you can do it. That's what the man is moving towards. And y'all are so blind. You cannot see. You cannot look ahead. You want to talk about this and you want to pick at that and you want to pick at this, and what you should be tackling, like, you all blame Nicki. Oh, Trump is using her and Trump is going to dump her. That's what he does all the time. But you want Nicki to be deported. Do you realize that Nicki can live literally anywhere in the world? Nicki can come to Jamaica. She can go to Barbados. She can live anywhere. Most of you can't. Cannot. I can tell you that almost every household in Jamaica would open their door to Nicki. But you guys want to use Nicki Minaj brother's action to poison her when she's not responsible for the actions of her brother. She didn't even raise her brother. And the Bible tells us 7 different brothers, 7 different minds. Can you imagine her brother is behind bars for inappropriation to minors, and that is what she's advocating for? I shouldn't have said advocating for, advocating against. Nicki Minaj has forever been an advocate of kids. Forever. It's not anything new. It's not the first time Nicki was invited to the summit. Cardi B sat down and she spoke to Bernie Sanders. No outrage. Everyone loves Bernie. So Nicki has a right to sit down and speak to who she wants to sit down with. It doesn't matter your views and your opinions. She has a political mind that's different from yours, and that's the way she is. And you all blame Nicki Minaj for Donald Trump being in power. And I know even if Nicki voted, she's not the only black person that voted. So why are so many people misdirecting their energy consistently on Nicki Minaj? She's not who voted. It ain't no way it could be just Nicki who voted for Trump. And as Azalea said, it's about time that everyone comes out and say, we all made a mistake voting for Trump. But you're still not doing that. And you consistently want to tell this girl, your brother is a pedophile. What does that have to do with her? And people said, oh, she's doing it to get her brother free out of prison. Really? Nicki needs to tell her story. And she needs to speak her truth, and then you guys will understand. And then you guys use the history of Kenneth Petty against her. Kenneth Petty was her friend. And there's one thing I know that doesn't change consistently, and that's authenticity. When someone's story is authentic, it doesn't change. And that situation with Kenneth Petty and that girl, I'm not saying he's innocent. Neither am I saying he's guilty. But that story is not straight. It is not straight. There's too much bips and bops and ifs and buts and about that story. No. Let's say, for example, Kenneth Petty did the crime. If he did the crime and he did the time, what does that have to do with Nicki Minaj, right? The government has a system in place to ensure that if that crime was committed by Kenneth Petty, the only child that he's around is his child. So why are you worried about Kenneth Petty, who is being watched and under consistent surveillance 24/7, when there are other people out here that has done far worse than what Kenneth Petty did, and they are just moving around like it's another day in paradise? You know what many of them got? Home detention. But you guys will never see that. You people believe that celebrities should not have a view or opinion when it comes to politics. And it's not just Nicki Minaj alone that this happens to. I remember this happened to the Dixie Chicks years ago when they told them to sing and shut up. It happened to them years ago, and it happened to quite a few others. But when Kanye West comes out and support and endorse Trump, yay, we love Kanye. Kanye is the truth teller. But when Nicki does it, she's doing it for her brother who is pedophile and her husband who has a past criminal record. Do you see the hypocrisy? And there's so many black people for Trump, Mexican for Trump. The only reason why Nicki supports Trump, and it doesn't even make sense, I say, because you guys are not gonna get it. I know for a fact she doesn't support everything that Trump does. What she supports is when Trump stopped the gender surgery on minors and the gender therapy treatment on minors, and he took biological men out of women's sports, and that is what she appreciates, and she consistently talks about it. Nicki Minaj is entitled to her views and her opinions just like everyone else. It doesn't mean that she has an agenda which includes wanting to free her brother. Absolutely not. And her wanting her husband's criminal record to be expunged. That will never be expunged unless there's some new breakthrough DNA evidence that prove otherwise, and unless there's some change in that case. But it will not be expunged on her teaming up with Trump. That will never happen. But every time you all go against Nicki, she keeps rising on the chart. Every time Nicki is authentic, she is going to consistently climb whenever she gets attacked. It happens to Kanye. It happens to Riri as well. Even though I see a smear campaign against Rihanna, and I'm like, what the shit is this? Where is this coming from? Why are people attacking Rihanna? Rihanna does absolutely nothing, even though there's an entire scenario. I'm going to have to get into that report with Rihanna and that security guard who slammed the door in Riri's face. When I tell you guys that something is up about Riri, and I've been noticing that since the LVMH wanting to cut ties from Rihanna, there has been, Fenty Beauty has been on sale. This is on sale. Every freaking brand is on sale at some point in time or another. And you know how they put some of these brands on sale too? Remove their tags, tag them as other things and put them on sale. You know who has proven that to us here on YouTube? Patricia Bright. Patricia Bright has proven that to us here on YouTube. Every brand goes on sale at some point in time. Stop be fooled. But Nicki Minaj is a human being just like all of us. She is entitled to have her say. Yes, I agree with her. What Don Lemon did, I saw the video. He shouldn't have barged in the church with those people. He has every right to do his job as a journalist, and I love and respect Don Lemon as a journalist. But that move, going into the church with the protesters and seeing the fright on the kids' face and other members of the congregation, it was a scary thing. You're going to know, seems as though they're going to have security guards in church with guns at the door, because when it's not gunmen going into churches or places of worship, it's rioters and all of that. So it seems as though churches are going to have security guard at the gate, with guns, and at the door with guns. When did church come to this? That should never be the case. Churches, mosque, temples, synagogues, they're always a sanctuary. This day and age of people have lost respect for themselves, humanity, and we have lost reverence for God. And it's true. It is true, and we really need to do better. But that's all I have to say about that for this video. Peace.